Hiya folks, my name's Matt and I'm taking a little side quest this episode. I recently bought the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game and quite like a lot of the game design choices in it, so I'm keen to see how it translates into a fantasy setting. I like my fantasy settings to be pretty epic, with elder gods who walk amongst the mortals, mortals who are ascending to godhood and become more than the common folk. Pretty much like the whole Malaysian Book of the Fallen setting by Stephen Erickson. A recent fan-made short called Logan The Wolf captured it perfectly too, I think. It's got basically mutants in a Viking world, and I'm going to put a link below if you haven't seen it. Check it out, it's awesome. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I like about these rules while I draw the first character. I'm going to create Emofa, the immortal assassin, aka the stomping shadow, aka the ginger death. So there's a few things I see in this rulebook that I really like. Number one, it's classless, so you can basically make anything you can think of. There doesn't seem to be much balancing here as you grab all sorts of powers, so a min-max player could break the game pretty easily, but the GM can limit the players as he sees fit, I reckon. Number two, you use a mana sort of stamina pool called Focus, which is used for all your abilities, spells and powers, and when this reaches 0 you are demoralized and exhausted. So none of this you can use at once in a short rest malarkey, or you have 4 spell slots that you can use per day and then you need a long rest. This uses a whole pool that you need to manage. For example, there's an ability called Do This All Day, which is basically like the fighter's second wind ability, except it takes your action to do instead of your bonus action. But you can do it as often as you want, but it costs you focus every time. And you can see here you choose how much focus you spend, and there's limits to that depending on what rank you are. Number 3, the dice rolling system seems pretty cool. You roll 3 6-sided dice for all ability checks, and one of the dice is a different colour. And if you roll a 1 on this special dice, you get a fantastic success which has all sorts of extra rewards. And that dice roll, that 1, becomes the equivalent of a 6, and it will double your damage and add extra effects to your powers. And if you get an edge, which is like advantage, you can re-roll it to go for that fantastic success. An example of this is a cool ability I want to try called Chain Strikes. Using it gives you an edge, so I can re-roll any one of the dice, and if you get a fantastic success, you can repeat the chain attack. It costs you focus each time though, so you could chain together a number of attacks but eventually burn yourself out. If there's any interest in this video, I'll do one demonstrating combat to show you what I mean. But for now, I'm going to concentrate on the character creation. I think the only thing I would change at this point is its leveling system, to give my fantasy players that feeling of progression. There are only 5 ranks in the Marvel RPG, with most of the players being able to progress from rank 2, which is like a low-level crime street fighter, to a rank 4, which is basically Wolverine, Captain America levels. Some might go to rank 5, which is like Thor levels, and then rank 6 is like the big baddies like Thanos, and also Hulk and Captain Marvel are in there. So there's really only 2 or 3 levels of progress. Fortunately, there's quite a jump between ranks, where you get 4 or more powers and 5 or more ability scores between each rank. So you could break this down more to give 4 extra levels per rank, each being like an A, B, C or D. That gives you about 12 levels to play with. Even more if you want to start them off at pleb level 1. And you still need the rank values to show here in your levels, because it affects the damage that you do and the power requirements and other stuff. I'll go through a character creation covering the big picture to give you an idea what's involved. Okay, so let's start with Emofa. He's an immortal assassin feared by even the gods. He's known for a stubborn, single-minded focus of getting the job done. You do not want to get on his to-do list. Although he normally sticks to the simple, direct approach, he can be quite sneaky, able to cloak himself in shadows, and he moves like a great ape, powerfully agile, and he's able to leap great distances and scale any obstacle. He fights with 2 long knives and is relentless, and he ignores pain. So let's make him. He's going to be a rank 5D, as he's one of the most powerful immortals of my world. But if I played him as a starting character, I'd scale him way down to a rank 2A, where he's just starting out on the road to immortality, and I'll be building him up to take a beating at the start and keep on ticking. But this version of him is now as an assassin who has stalked the world for centuries, keeping himself sane with his own mysterious long-term goals. At rank 5 I get 25 ability points to spend and 20 powers to buy. I also get traits and tags that round out the character and add to their unique flavour. Let's start with ability points. At rank 5 I get 25 of these to spend, with a max cap of 8. The 6 abilities you get are melee, agility, resilience, vigilance, ego, and logic, and they happen to spell Marvel, which is an amazing coincidence. Emofa is a beast who can take a pounding. His skin is like stone and his bones are like iron, so I'll go big in resilience, which determines his health and resistances, and it also affects some of the healing based powers I'll be looking at, so it's an 8 in resilience. He's a close and dirty knife fighter, but not overly skilled, so I spend 5 on melee, which is my in-close attack and defense. Agility is his ranged attack and defense. He's agile like a great ape, so let's go for 3 in this. Vigilance, I want him high with his keen assassin senses, so there's going to be a 6 here, and this also determines his overall focus pool. Then we have ego, which influences people with elemental powers and such. Not too important for Emofa, so there's going to be a 2 there. And his logic will be low. He's a simple fellow, so I'll just spend my last 1 point on that. From these scores I can work out my health, which is resilience multiplied by 30, so that's 240 health. What a beast! And his focus is based on his vigilance times 30, which gives him a pool of 180 to spend on abilities. He's like a machine and he won't burn out quickly. I choose an origin and an occupation. These give you traits and tags, some positive, sometimes negative. I go unknown for origin, which gives me the mysterious tag, which is really just a bit of flavour. For occupation, Emofa went with the adventurer, mainly because it gives me the fearless trait, which suits this fella. Now I can grab some extra traits. Rank 5 gives me 5 traits, and I went with determination, berserker, free running, sneaky, and honest. And now for the fun part, the powers. I get 20 powers, which sounds like a lot, and if you don't spend them all, you can spend them on ability points instead. And also to build up a strong power, you need to buy the lesser powers first. Like his first power will be sturdy, which mitigates the damage you take. I want sturdy 3. I couldn't take sturdy 4 because I need to be rank 6 to take that. But to take sturdy 3, I need to buy sturdy 1 and 2, so sturdy 3 is going to cost me 3 power points. I've got 17 to go. He's going to take healing factor, which regenerates his health by the amount of his resilience each round, so that's 8 health gained each round. And like I said before, he had bones of iron, so he's going to get reinforced skeleton, and that adds more damage reduction. I'm going to take Mighty 1 to give him some superhuman strength. It's nothing crazy, it's about Captain America levels. It means he does more damage with his strikes. And since melee weapon multipliers don't stack with Mighty, I have his knives more as flavour, and I go down the martial art line to get the fighting style I want. Which means I take Always Ready, which gives him an extra reaction. I take Do This All Day, which lets him spend his focus on healing, so he just keeps on ticking. And then I take Fast Strikes, which lets me take Chain Strikes, which was that cool ability I mentioned earlier, so he can just be a relentless attacking machine. And I also take Focus Strike, which lets me spend focus to increase his damage, and I can stun an opponent on a fantastic success, which I think would be a good opener move from a stealthy backstab. So that's 11 powers in total, 9 to go. We go down the spider line and he takes Jump 1, and he also takes Spider Sense, so you don't sneak up on Emofa, and he also takes Wall Climbing to get over all those obstacles. 6 to go. He has the ability to stretch out his senses to locate targets and can cloak himself in shadow, so I spend 3 more in the telepathy line and he takes ESP, Cloak, and Telepathic Link. And for the last 3 I go down Teleportation, where he can step into the shadows and appear elsewhere. That gives him Blink and Teleport 2, which lets him teleport up to 50 spaces in combat and 5,000 spaces out of combat. So that's Emofa, the near unkillable, unstoppable assassin that even the gods fear. It's a good thing that at his core he's a nice guy that just likes completing tasks. So you can see these power sets let you create all sorts of fantasy characters: spellcasters, range specialists, leaders who can inspire others, shield men, sword masters, and mortals who start to take on godlike powers. Hopefully you found this interesting, and if the video does okay, I'll mock up a combat with some immortals of varying ranks and abilities to show you how it all works. Till then, I'll jump back onto the Swamp of Souls and continue its development. I really just wanted to make an overpowered version of Emofa. He's my favourite.